Hello, my name's David Leckrone. Prior to my retirement in 2009, I worked for 40 years as an astrophysicist for NASA at Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. For 33 of those years, I worked on the Hubble Space Telescope project in various scientific roles. For the final 17 years of my tenure, from 1992 through 2009, I was the senior project scientist for Hubble. I'm happy to also note that I'm a proud alumnus of Purdue University, class of 1964 in physics. Now, when we were first developing Hubble in the 1970s and 1980s, we like to say that we can reasonably expect a great leap forward in astronomical sciences produced by Hubble, comparable to what Galileo achieved when he first turned his small telescope to the skies in 1609. I believe Hubble has more than met that expectation. But now it's time for the next great leap forward, the James Webb Space Telescope. James Webb is bigger and more sensitive than Hubble. It's primarily an infrared telescope, which means it's capable of reaching far across the universe, far back in time, to the earliest epoch after the Big Bang, when the first stars and galaxies were being formed. And that'll be one of the major themes of the James Webb research effort. Now, James Webb is not a replacement for Hubble. Hubble is primarily an ultraviolet and visible light telescope, whereas James Webb is mostly an infrared telescope. So the two, in principle, can work together synergistically in cutting-edge science, hopefully for several years of overlap after James Webb is launched. After all, Hubble's been going strong for 31 years, and we think it will continue to go for years to come. It's been a long and bumpy road for the James Webb Space Telescope. The first conceptual studies were done in the late 1980s, and the first formal NASA studies were begun around 1995 or 1996. The early years of James Webb, plus of course a lot of information about Hubble, is contained in my new book, Life with Hubble, an insider's view of the world's most famous telescope. But here we are now. The time has come to start the James Webb era. And this is an indescribably exciting time for astronomers and I think for lay people all around the world. It will take about 6 months for James Webb to reach the stage where it's able to conduct its normal scientific operations. It has to be launched into orbit, translate itself to the L2 point about 1 million miles away from the Earth in the direction away from the sun, and of course deploy all of its mechanisms, including its primary mirror, its sunshade, etc., etc. So we'll just have to be patient while all that takes place. But for now, let's just watch the launch, keep our fingers crossed, and wish James Webb the best of luck.